Hey, what is going on, everybody? Nintenjoel here once again, and yes, I am doing a top 10 list, and yes, it is on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I figured if I'm going to do some top 10 videos, I am going to do it for a few different consoles, my favorite consoles, and I may as well start kind of chronological order. I do have older consoles than the NES, but not as familiar with them, so the Nintendo Entertainment Center gets a first stab at it. So, I'm just going to make this quick. No need for a huge introduction. I don't want this video to go on like the first take that I just got done doing. That took a half hour. So, we're going to do this much more streamlined. Everything's going to be nice. You guys won't get bored out of your skull and stop watching the video halfway through. So, number 10. Played this game in the arcade a lot. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. The arcade game. So, as I've mentioned before in another video, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, is not really a perfect port. The arcade game was really fun and is definitely one of my favorite arcade games of all time. But this did have a couple advantages to it. First of all, you could play it at home, so that was great. Second of all, you could have two players play at home and not play a constant amount of quarters for it. Just absolutely throwing them into the machine like I used to. The other advantage to it is there was actually a level that wasn't included in the original, so that's kind of nice for you Nintendo lovers. Of course, the graphics weren't as good, the music wasn't quite as good, but it was very, very similar looking, sounding, and feeling, and played quite well and had very good replay value. It's one of my favorite games for the NES by far. It was one of the first ones I actually picked out, even though it's number 10. Literally one of the first ones I swiped out of the pile. It was like, oh, this is in there. Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Number 9. We have Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is a fantastic game that I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with, but may be surprised to see it on my list because it is, you know, a sports game. So, you are Little Mac, and you are boxing against another dude, and you're kind of towards the front of the screen, and your enemy's in front of you, and you can do low lefts, and high lefts, and low rights, and high rights, and if you press the star button and you have a star, you can do a super punch, and the enemies are really original, the music is fantastic, the graphics are awesome. I feel like I have a cat hair on me somewhere. I probably do, considering there are cats running around. But yeah, Punch-Out! Is amazing, and this is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, but there was, of course, the variant, just regular Punch-Out!. Happy that I own both of them, actually, but yeah, the only difference being that the last guy is Mr. Dream instead of Mike Tyson, and that just had to do with Mike Tyson's little legal problems back then. Either way, fantastic game. It's exactly the same. Don't worry about which copy you get. It's just a fun game. So, number 8, we have Contra. How can I not include Contra in a top 10 list for NES? Contra is fantastic. It's a really good run and gun game, and much like Turtles, it is best experienced with a friend. 2 players is the way to go because it's pretty much impossible with 1 player. Not impossible, but really freaking hard. It's all about memorization. You gotta get through the levels, and it's a one-hit kill kind of game. You get hit once, you're dead. There's the 30-man code, the Konami code, which is always helpful, always helpful, but it's still going to test your patience, and it's really going to test your ability to rapid fire and evade. Contra, who's not going to have that in their list? Maybe one of the surprises, though, number 7, is Gargoyle's Quest 2. Gargoyle's Quest 2 is a fantastic game that I actually just got recently, but it has such a huge impact on me that I decided to include it in my top 10 list, and it got fairly high in it. It's just a very original game. It's got a lot of elements from multiple different games. Now I have hiccups. So first I have a cat hair on my face, and now I got the start of hiccups. That's awesome. Hopefully I can get through this video without falling over, catching on fire, or dying. But Gargoyle's Quest 2 has elements such as being able to fly or hover, being able to shoot fireball out of your mouth, and also being able to cling to the side of objects. So it's three things that you'll find in different games, but all together. and it makes for really fantastic gameplay. I've mentioned this video game before in another video. What's great about it is that those things in the game are not gimmicks. You actually need to fly. You actually need to be able to hover and cling onto the sides of things to complete levels. And it's not a gimmick. It's not like, oh, you can fly. No, you have to fly. You have to learn how to fly, and it's not an easy game. You may have all these things at your disposal, but it's not very easy. And to be perfectly honest, for this being in my top 10 list, this is the one I've played the least. But it's just so good. It's so different from all other games. It's so damn good. That's all I have to say. Yeah, you really want to play this. I'm telling you, you want to play that. Okay, so, number 6. Legend of Zelda, and check out how shiny my copy is. Woo! Believe it or not, this is the copy of Legend of Zelda I have had since I was a kid. And Zelda 1 and 2 are both the copies I've had since I was a kid, and they're also the shiniest copies I've ever found. So, yeah, kudos to me. Big pat on the back there for keeping my games in good condition. Although, I actually only escaped with a few of my games from my childhood, but yeah, I do have a few, and those are 2 of them that are just in fantastic shape. Legend of Zelda, everybody knows what it is. It's an overhead action adventure game, maybe with some RPG-ish elements because you have items, you can switch items, you can increase your health, and there's dungeons, and there's overhead view. It's just amazing. The whole game's overhead view, but what I mean is there's like an overworld, and then you go down into a dungeon, and the music in the dungeons is fantastic. There's always a freaking boss at the end, and when you're in a dungeon, there's always one item that will help you on your quest, and then you can go on to the next dungeon, and then there's an item that'll help you go on to the next dungeon, and your life container fills up 1 every time you beat a boss. It's just brilliantly made. It's just an amazing idea. When they came up with this, they must have known that they were hitting gold. They must have. They must have been sitting around and said, Eureka! This is it. How is this game not going to sell millions? And it did. It is amazing that it started such an incredible franchise, one that is so memorable, and this is the start of it. This is where it all came from. Legend of Zelda, God, if you haven't played it, stop watching this video and go play it. Seriously, not even joking. I don't care. I don't care if you stop watching the video. When you're done playing with it, go back, leave me a comment, and tell me how much you love that game. Because you know you love that game. Number 5, universally loved. I think most people would agree with me that this is the best one of the franchise, though there are definitely standouts like 5. But this is Mega Man 2. I freaking love Mega Man 2. Oh my god, and yes, I love video game music so much. I'm such a freaking nerd for video game music. It is partially high on this list because of the music in the game. Every single level is amazing. It's so good. It could be its own album. In fact, I think Retro Liberty had found a white vinyl of Mega Man 2, the soundtrack. Freaking amazing. So cool. If you guys haven't seen Retro Liberty, Aaron and Ricky, amazing game hunters. Watch that channel. I'm going to put a link below. Yeah, one of my favorite channels of all time. No joke. But anyways, Mega Man 2. Oh, and Ricky from Retro Liberty is a huge Mega Man fan, so he'll love this. But Mega Man 2, fantastic game. Pretty much the the best Mega Man game to ever come out. I mean, the X series is pretty good, but Mega Man 2, there's just something about it. The gameplay, the level design, every weapon and every boss that it has is just superiorly made compared to the other ones, in my opinion. Like, Metal Man was so good. He's like the best one. He's the best boss in any Mega Man game ever. I don't care what anybody says. Whatever. He's so good. But all the bosses in the game are so good. You know the story. You go through a whole level as a little blue dude shooting little yellow dots, and you're defeating enemies, and you're jumping very excitedly, and you get to the boss, and when you defeat the boss, you get his power, and you can use his power, and yeah, so towards the end, you got all these crazy powers. Did I mention the fantastic music? It's got amazing music. That in itself is worth playing, because you can level select, and you can experience all the music you want, like 8 levels worth of it, but you can't experience the best music of it until you beat those levels and go on to Dr. Wily's castle. Anyways, number 5, Mega Man 2. Holy crap, you love it. Everybody loves it. It's my favorite Mega Man. Number 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, and I probably can already... Wait. Yep, I can hear people grumbling that this isn't number 1 right now. Mario Brothers 3, very, very good game. Holy shit, one of the greatest games I've ever played. One of the greatest games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. When I was a kid and I played this, it was like there were no other games. There literally were no other games at this point. When this came out, all the other games got put away on the shelf or somewhere in somebody's room, you know, thrown on a floor in some of my friends' cases. Mario 3 stayed in the system, and it stayed there forever. I remember the hype. I remember The Wizard, the movie, coming out pretty much just to hype this game, and the commercials, and just some of the items you can get in the game. The graphics were improved, the music was improved, the sound effects were improved, everything was improved. There was an overworld, there's much better items that you could actually keep for a little while and use whenever you wanted at the beginning of the level. It was just, holy crap, truly an amazing game. The fact that you can fly just changed the ball game. And also, so many hidden items and so many like hidden places, and I'm at a loss for words. It's such a good game. Mario Brothers 3 was just, it was like the Bible of games back then. Like, everybody had it. Everybody had it. Everybody was waiting for it. And when it came out, it was like, bam! That's all you freaking had left. Okay, so, enough of that game. Number 3, Metroid. Who doesn't love Metroid? If you don't love Metroid, there's something wrong with you. I love Metroid. I had a friend when I was a youngster. He was a couple years younger than me. He moved into the neighborhood, and all my friends kind of latched onto him. We all kind of liked him. His name is Alexander. And anyways, one of the few times that I went over to his house, and it was just me and him, we went to his dad's like office area, and we were just watching his dad play video games, and he was playing Metroid. And it was the first time I had seen or heard of this game, and it blew my mind. It was so much darker, it was so much more serious, and you can go from left to right, and you can explore back and forth, and you needed one of the next items to go on to the next place, and it was just, the exploration factor was amazing. And even my friend, who had seen his dad play it many times, was still amazed at this game, and I just knew it was one of the games for the NES I absolutely had to have, and I did own it fairly early. I had to. It was so good. And it was the beginning, just like Legend of Zelda, the beginning of a beautiful franchise that has gone on to make some of the greatest games in history. Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime. I mean, there's so many good Metroid games. Yeah, there's not much more I can say about it. It's the most amazing side-scrolling platforming action adventure exploration game. My god, it's so good. If you're a new gamer and you happen to watch this, I immediately, these top 3 games definitely play, but considering, and I'm going to give you a little hint of my last 2 games, considering the last 2 games are RPGs, Metroid, I'd say, out of the top 3 is going to be the most accessible. Very good game, and the music is haunting as well. It's crazy. It's just so different from everything else, and the fact that the protagonist is a female is just crazy as well. Okay, so sorry if I ruined that. If you are a new gamer, whatever. So, number 2, Final Fantasy. Now, I had a really hard time between 2 and 3. Final Fantasy and Metroid were almost interchangeable. This one easily could have been number 3. This one easily could have been number 2. I chose Final Fantasy because I played it even a little more than Metroid. It's a crazy good RPG. One of the first ones I ever played, along with Ultima Exodus and the original Dragon Warrior. And I have to say, Final Fantasy is better than Dragon Warrior or Ultima Exodus. Musically, in scope, and how much of a grand adventure it is, and how it goes from like swords and axes and shields and armor, you know, like medieval type in the beginning, to at the end of the game it's like something totally freaking different, and you're like blown away. It's really, really cool. The story's quite immersive for an NES game. The graphics are really good. It's not perfect. There are definitely some flaws, and if you want to experience Final Fantasy without some of those flaws, I definitely recommend 2 games. That would be Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls for Game Boy Advance, which is Final Fantasy 1, and Final Fantasy 2, Japanese 2. and it did fix a lot of the problems. It was very good. It's a little bit easier than the original Final Fantasy. Same story with Final Fantasy, the remake on PSP, which is gorgeous, and the music is even better than the original. It's amazing how much they upgraded this game. But it's a lot easier than the original. But either way, if you want to play Final Fantasy one of those ways, play the first game. It's so damn good. Definitely worthy of the #2 spot. Number 1 is going to be definitely one of the surprisers. Maybe not for people that know me well, but most people's number 1 in NES is not Dragon Warrior 4. In my opinion, one of the top 3 RPGs of all time ever made. The chapter system is amazing in my opinion, and it's one of the reasons that people sometimes overlook it and don't like it, is because they don't give the chapter system enough of a try. So what's going on with Dragon Warrior 4 is you have 5 chapters. The first chapter, you are a soldier and you're trying to find out who has kidnapped some children. You have no idea. Go out on your adventure and you have your own little RPG, chapter 1. When you're done with that, bam, set aside. You're done with that. Now you have number 2. There's a different whole little RPG for chapter 2. Same with number 3. Same with number 4. There's 4 little mini RPGs, which is kind of nice because you don't have to spend a lot of time on those, and you feel quite accomplished every time you finish one little mini RPG. So you may be thinking, well, why is that worth it if they're all mini RPGs? Well, the fact that the 5th chapter combines all of your very well known by now characters from the first 4 chapters is very amazing. It's really good. It's very innovative because this way, the first 4 chapters introduces you to your characters in a way like never before. In a lot of RPGs, you're just thrown another character. Oh, hi, I'm from this town. I want to come with you. Okay, come with me. No big deal. It's robotic. It's kind of lame. This way, you have people that are all kind of working towards the same goal, but always also working towards their own goals as well in the beginning. Only towards the end do they start working towards a similar goal, which is finding the hero, and Chapter 5 begins. And Chapter 5, you start with your newly found hero, and your hero starts finding all of your people from the previous chapters. And it's an amazing game, and Chapter 5 is a huge adventure. You may be put off by the fact that the first 4 are kind of short RPGs, but the 5th one is longer than all 4 put together, and there's many elements that make it last a lot longer. There's the casino game, there's being able to buy and sell weapons and armor as the 3rd chapter, being able to own your own shop. That takes up a huge amount of my time, and it's just fun. But yeah, Dragon Warrior 4, amazing game. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. That's my top 10 list. I know it's a little bit different from everybody else's list. This is not the Bible. This is not the way it goes. You don't need to definitely play these 10 games, but these are the top 10 games that I love from my childhood, teenage years, and yes, even nowadays, Gargoyle's Quest 2 being a new edition, it's such a good game, and all these are such good games. Let me know what your top 10 games for the NES are. I'd love to see a video response, but I have not seen many of those at all. I think only one person has done a video response to me so far. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and make your own lists, or if anything, just leave me a comment. List off your 10 favorite games, or what you think of my games in my top 10 lists. So leave a comment. If you did like the video, please give a thumbs up, and I always like seeing those. And if you want to see more videos by me, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's down there somewhere. It's red and it says subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers I have. I finally got over this weird little hump where I could not get any more subscribers. But yeah, finally getting some more subscribers, so I gotta get on these videos and do more. So yeah, top 10 NES. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys liked the video, and keep rocking the retro games.